chewing the fat and talking hotel tech. It's time for Two Smart Fellas.
Da-da-da.
Nice, nice. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, perfect. Perfect, Grandpa.
So you're going to interview me today, right?
Ooh, I've got my little notebook,
Good.
especially for you.
Oh, I like.
And like, me like, and couple of questions.
Good.
No cheating, no cheating. No?
And for anyone that doesn't know, you and I have the idea over the holiday period that, let's have a holiday. Let's actually relax. But could be a good time for an interview. And that's it. No, you ask me this, I'll ask you this, you answer this. Like, I've got no idea. Apart from you just saying you got some notes there, which is a bit scary. We got no idea what you're going to ask me, but I think that's our approach, right?
Absolutely. That's what makes us so smart. And I hear you had a great Two Smart Fellas thing happening in Munich, did you?
Yes. So I was in München last week, because today's Monday. Let's do that. Today's Monday, the 8th of January, 2018. I was in Munich, and I was working out of a co-working space by Ruby. So it's a really nice space, like WeWork, but way classier, way better. It's called Ruby Works, and there's a lot of other different companies working there. And one of those companies is a revenue management outsourced company called Bernard and Becker.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm being introduced to them because we're at the same coffee machine. It's all a co-working space. And as I was being introduced, guy said to me, it's one of the smart fellas. I was like, yes, hi, I'm Erik. And it was actually a bit of a surreal moment because they're aware of this Two Smart Fellas podcast.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool.
I had an email of someone saying like, are you guys live or what? Where are you?
Really?
On the Friday, yeah. I was just like, sorry, because I'm on the way to London in a train. And by the way, I always catch up on that at that time. And I said, perfect.
I love it. I love it. And that's how I like to watch information and news, is if I can download it or watch it while I'm traveling in a train and catch up. And that's what's beautiful about this video format. So it's cool. It's cool. And I can't remember. I think subscribers are now 62. And that's with zero promotion, zero push. And we've got plenty of exciting stuff coming up in 2018. But today, you're interviewing me.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Are you comfortable on your couch? Is all good?
I'm very relaxed.
Coffee, everything very relaxed. I can see that. Is that your home?
Yeah.
Nice painting in the background.
It's
what
do you call it? It's a tray, a serving tray.
It's a tray. Okay, very nice.
One of our wedding gifts, and I think it's from Denmark.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Mr. MUñOZ.
Wolfbjörn.
You've been around for donkey years.
Yeah.
If I check out your LinkedIn profile, I most probably will see you have like 150 million followers or something.
I don't know how many followers.
Let me just double check.
I'm happy with 59 followers. If
50,
there's more, even better.
Okay, 9,176.
Okay.
Why hospitality, mate? Like, what made you go into hospitality and what made you go into tech?
Yeah, okay. We talked about your high school. It's same as me. I did well in high school. I found it very easy, but I was not not a good student in the sense that I didn't do my homework. I was able to pass exams without really studying too much. And so after I finished high school, I had no idea what I was going to do, other than maths was always easy. And I thought, well, what do I do with maths? Maybe accounting. So I was, for no other reason than that numbers were easy. I thought I'll do accounting, and luckily for me, this is a real theme in my life. I've had a lot of luck, really a lot of luck, because two of my best friends in high school had come back from working in London in food and beverage. They were doing restaurants, nice restaurants. And they came back to Sydney and they said to me, "Hey, Erik, we're going to this information evening for this new hotel college in Sydney called Macleay College." And I was talking to them about maybe looking at this acting course, drama and theatre, because I like school numbers, but I liked drama and acting and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm talking to them, let's go to this acting course. And they said, come to this information evening before we do the acting course thing. And that was literally it. I went to this information evening for Macleay College, brand new hotel school in centre of Sydney. And they were explaining what this diploma of hospitality was all about. They were explaining what is hospitality. They're explaining the kind of people maybe who might be interested in hospitality. Are you interested in other cultures, other languages, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I was hooked. I was like, wow, I'm just here because Megan and Lisa are asked me to come along with them. And I said to them, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. It was a private college. I was actually paying myself. I didn't have anybody to really, let's say, pay my tuition fees, but it didn't matter. I decided just by accident I would do this diploma. And so that was 89. Yeah. And because I'm paying my way through college, I had to get a job. And again, lucky, very lucky. I knew somebody who knew somebody. They knew the HR manager at the Hilton, Sydney Airport. And so I got an interview.
Sydney Airport?
Sydney Airport Hilton, yeah.
A bit far out, eh?
I'm from the south. Okay. I'm from Sutherland Shire in Sydney, so not too far away. But I was studying in the city. Anyway, no problem. And so I explained that I'm studying, and I explained that I'm looking for some casual work, and I got a job in front office. In concierge. So I was working in concierge, doing casual shifts while I was studying, and what was cool about that was, as I'm at hotel school, I'm doing afternoon shifts or other shifts on the weekends at the hotel. And, they talk about guest service, they talk about hospitality. You're learning all this stuff in college. And then I'm going to work at the hotel and I'm applying all these different things. And I was 100% immersed in hospitality study and working at Hilton. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
So do you think your college helped more your working, or the working in a hotel helped you better grasp the stuff that you were taught in college?
College helped me. College opened my eyes, opened my imagination to what is hospitality. They had some amazing lecturers, super experienced. And Carl McCall, I think is one of the guys' names. This lecturer, all of them were brilliant. They all had deep experience in hospitality, in different hotels, in different countries. So as they're teaching us the different topics, whether it was front office ledger theory, housekeeping, food and beverage, as they're teaching us, they would share different stories about the 5-star property in London, about in Middle East, about that. And it was just, I really must credit them for sparking my imagination about the world of hospitality. And so, yeah, but my first job was in concierge. I'm driving the bus. I had to learn how to drive buses around to the airport every half an hour, into the city. I've got a license for a 30-seater bus. I had to get a license. And then I was sometimes the chauffeur of the hotel limousine, driving VIPs. And as soon as so in other words, I was working at the hotel while I studied, and then as soon as, well, to answer your question, the lecturers absolutely were amazing and sparked my imagination, which then, as I'm in the hotel, I'm like a little, I'm super keen, super like SpongeBob SquarePants, you said, absorbing everything, and had great colleagues, great bosses, and I've just been lucky. Had really good colleagues, peers, mentors, teachers. I've been really lucky.
What was your favorite subject? I assume that RM you didn't have.
Zero, no RM.
Yeah.
We did. I enjoyed front office. You know, I enjoyed everything, but in front office we had a computer system, which is
Which
called
one?
LodgeMate, and LodgeMate. Okay, you remember Landmark?
Yeah.
Rewind. Before Landmark, there was LodgeMate. old DOS.
Needle printers?
No. Oh, well, this is just in the classroom, so no printing.
Okay.
Check in, check out, make a group booking, all that kind of stuff. I'm glad you asked me what my favorite subject was, because I've never thought about that. You know what? I think it was languages. I loved it all, but I loved. Why am I saying languages? I didn't do languages in college. I loved part of the course was they were encouraging us to learn how to type quickly. So part of the course was typing. So you literally did a little online program, and I remember I got to 45 words per minute, which was the minimum. But then I kept doing my own study, and I wanted to type super fast, because if I'm using a computer and I don't have to look at the computer and I can type, touch type, I thought that's going to be an advantage for me. And so my favorite topic, though, apart from the typing stuff, was probably F&B, actually, like making a roux. That was one of our requirements. It's like chef training.
You're talking cooking, right?
Cooking, yeah. How to make a roux. I enjoyed that. That was something culinary.
A roux. You're talking kangaroo.
ROUX. Roux.
A roux. Okay.
A sauce.
Yeah.
Like bechamel sauce.
Yeah. With you Australians, you got to be careful when you say roux.
Exactly. So I loved it all. I probably cooking I enjoyed most, but everything I loved.
So what was the best advice one of your teachers gave you?
I didn't really get advice from any teacher.
Because you took a job after college, right?
I took a job while I was in college.
No. I meant like, so now you finished college and then you're going for your first real job. Did you continue at the Hilton or?
Yeah, well, no, hang on. So during my college, I was identified as a star student. They were doing, they asked me to join a TV advertisement, a photo shoot, as an example of the outstanding. So in other words, people who were considering Macleay College in the next year, I had a photograph of me, an interview with me. I'm not exaggerating. I can dig
you
this
still
up.
have that.
Somewhere.
Please.
I'll get it.
I'm asking everybody to donate at least $1.
When you walk into the college, there used to be a big poster of a picture of me, and with my underneath, because they identified me as an outstanding star student. Blah blah blah. He's now this job at this hotel. So there was never advice. They actually thought that I was a good student and an example of how fast you can progress as a result of Macleay College, which is true. I mean, they inspired me for sure. So as soon as I finished my study, I said to my assistant FOM, John Ackery, hey John, I said, John, I love it here, but I've finished my studies now. So
John Ackery, is he Song Hotels?
In Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might be.
I think I met him when I was in Sydney last.
Blonde-haired guy.
Yeah, I think so.
So he's my ex-boss. He was AFOM. Alan Hunt was FOM. Ruth Harrison was GM. And I was, well, I was me. I was in the concierge department, driving buses, carrying bags as a porter. And anyway, I said, look, I finished my studies. If there's anything coming up in the front office, keep me in mind. He said, yeah, no worries. And then he came back to me and said, you know, we're always having trouble finding people for night audit, like permanent night shift, night auditor. I said, sure, yeah, I'll take it. Sure, no problem. So 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. I got...
So first paying off the college was a night auditor.
Yeah, and I didn't realize at the time how lucky I was. You know what it's like in night audit.
Oh, beautiful.
I was basically, and this is Hilton. So Hilton have all the brand standards and policies, procedures. I didn't know at the time, I did not know, but I was fast-tracked through front office. Because back then, when you first started in front office, you did 6 months on the switchboard. Then you do 6 months or 12 months, just reservations. Only then you do reception check-in. And this is the day when there's a separate part of check-in and a separate part of cashiering.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you did 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. So because I was night audit, I was fast-tracked. 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, boom, 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 boom. Because at night shift, you have to do everything. At night shift, you answer the phones, you do check-ins, you do checkouts. You do the income audit, of course. You balance all the outlets. You do the systems backups and reports. So again, I didn't realize how lucky I was that I volunteered, I said, yeah, I'll do night audit. I did that for 18 months and it was the best training. Again, luck, I was really lucky, but I was also super keen. I was super hard worker, super keen. And I think that the harder you work, the luckier you get in some respect, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I think night audit is, as you said, it's the perfect ground to learn everything about the hotel.
Well, in those days, you saw the computer I was using, the big washing machine, System 36.
Yep.
So we had a weekly thing every Sunday night called a reorg. Basically, the system will be down for a minimum of 2 hours, sometimes longer. And because we're an airport location, we have a lot of early morning checkouts.
Crews as well, yeah.
Airline crew. So most of the time, well, on a Sunday night, meaning Monday morning, I'm doing the check-in and check-out, mostly checkouts, manually, because the system's down. I had all the folios already printed. I take cash. The credit card was zip zap machine.
Oh, yeah, with the paper, yeah?
Yeah. You still have the FPOS thing to do all that, basically. And then 7 a.m., morning shift arrives. I take my work, go to the back office to balance everything. System is up now. Key in all my transactions, all my cash takings. And when you've done that manually, when you've checked out a group of 200 people individually or groups, when you've done that manually, and then you have to balance the system or balance your takings, when you've done that kind of work, having a system there, not having a system there, doesn't really matter. You understand at the core the hotel business at the very, very transactional level, let's say.
So where do you go next?
So I, after
and more importantly, why?
Yeah, I'll tell you. It's a good question because I was with Hilton, I was with Night Audit, and I had a review, like a performance appraisal. And it was really good. I mean, in Hilton, maybe IHG is the same. They do a proper review.
Yeah.
This is where you're at. This is what you've been doing. This is the feedback we have for you. And basically the feedback was, Erik, everything's great. I think I was 21 at that time. And I was basically told that the next step for you is duty manager or assistant manager. But they said, you are a bit young. You're not too young, but we had an assistant manager, you're 21 before, who crashed the GM's car. So as a result, the GM has said, no more assistant managers under 23. So they said to me, everything you're doing is perfect. Keep doing what you're doing. And when you're 23, boom, that's your next step. So I thought, okay.
But you were 21, yeah?
I think so now. Yeah, 21 now, yeah.
That's 2 years.
Yeah. Exactly. So, of course, what did I do? I looked around for a job, which was assistant manager or night manager, and I applied for that job, and I got it. So, because that role wasn't available, I joined a Mirvac property. It's now residential apartments, but it used to be called the Chateau Sydney in Potts Point, which is really a fancy way of saying
Potts
King's
Point.
Cross. King's Cross.
Potts Point is King's Cross.
It's King's Cross.
Okay.
we call it Potts Point
Sorry.
because it sounds nice, and King's Cross is obviously the red light district of Sydney.
Yeah.
And so I became night manager at the Chateau Sydney, which was exactly the experience I was looking for. I was responsible for the entire hotel, only 98 rooms, but still, I had a porter who did room service and portering. I managed the entire operation, security, front desk, check-in, check-out. It was precisely the experience I was looking for. And I remember my real boss, in other words, not John, but John's boss, the front office manager, Alan Hunt. Hi, Alan. And I remember him being quite pissed off at me that I was leaving. I explained the reasons, and he's like, "Yeah, but anyway," he was not happy that I was leaving. But anyway, we're still great friends today. He's now in the US, in the spa business. But as I was in, let's say eight months later, I'm at Chateau Potts Point, Chateau Sydney Hotel. He called me, "Erik, how's things?" "Yeah, good. Look, I'm going to Hayman Island Resort in the Whitsundays." At that time, it was the ranked number 4 most luxurious resort in the world. He was going as FOM, rooms division manager, and he said, "I need a number 2. Do you want to be my number 2?" I was like, yes, when? So I went to work again with Alan. We were from Hilton, but to Hayman Island. And that was even another lucky chance, and got luxury resort hotel experience on a truly world-class level. Because you were management, all management worked 6 days a week. It was just a part of the thing. So you got a bit more money. When I say you work 6 days a week, not 6 8-hour days, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, sometimes 18-hour days. But for me, I was loving it. I was absorbed in the luxury hotel business, learning so much. We only had 1 day off a week, but even if you didn't leave the island, you could just go around, walk around to the side, put a mask on and a snorkel, and you're looking at beautiful coral. I mean, Hayman Island and the Whitsundays is a stunning resort and a beautiful part of the world. So I was there. I was there for 18 months, and this is when I stopped my hotel, let's say, career, and moved into hotel tech. And what was the change? I broke my leg playing rugby league. So in the Whitsundays, each year, every resort plays the other resort in an annual rugby league tournament. I've always been into sport, even though basketball was my main sport. I was during Hayman Island time, it was a little bit, in some sense, a little bit like a prison, in that you worked 6 days a week, 6 big hours a week. You have a staff cafeteria, and you have a staff gym. I was lifting weights in the gym. I was eating whatever I wanted to eat in the cafeteria and working hard. I was big. I was 112 kilos. So what's that, 240 pounds? And fast and good hands. So when the rugby league tournament came up, they said, "Hey, Erik, we want you in the rugby league team." Anyway, I broke my leg. I scored a try. Basically, we were playing Club Crocodile, and we won the match 78-0. It wasn't a dirty match, but I was running from halfway. It was a long run. And just as I got to the try line, put the ball down, I could see the fullback coming over. And just when I got to the line, the fullback also got to the line. He sort of shoulder charged me. It was totally legal, nothing dirty. I scored the try, but then everyone else who was chasing, we all got there at the same time, and basically everyone fell on everyone. I call it stacks on the mill. I remember feeling a really heavy weight on my right leg. Like I'm underneath a big pile of people. And I remember, oh, there's a really heavy weight. There's a heavy weight on my leg. And then boom, snap. Both bones in my right shin, the tibia and fibula, snapped. Compound fracture. I remember lifting up my leg, and because my socks were pulled up, our team color was red, white, and blue. My sock was red. I could see two kind of sharp stick-looking things, and the bottom of my leg is just dangling by itself. Anyway, long story short, I was moving back to Sydney anyway. I thought I was going to maybe work for Intercontinental Sydney, but I had this broken leg. But not just a broken leg. You can have a simple broken bone or a complicated broken bone. I had every single complication you can imagine. Let's just say 18 months on crutches, and then 6 months with a cane, a walking stick. 2 years, I couldn't walk properly. Well, I had a stick and crutches. And now my leg's fine. But while I was in hospital in Sydney, because I was in many different hospitals with all these different complications, this is pre-internet. This is 1994. I opened up the Sydney Morning Herald. I'm in hospital. In this time, I was in hospital, I think, for 2 weeks in Sydney, isolated in a special area because of all the complications. And I'm going
Would
through.
have been how old?
25, I think.
Okay.
Something like this. And then, of course, I'm in hospital. I've got time to go through every page of the classified ads. And I saw a tiny little ad. The title was Client Services Specialist. I'm reading every single ad. I'm in hospital. I've got nothing else to do. Basically explained, there's a company called Hotel Information Systems that does software for hotels, looking for a client services specialist. And this is basically somebody who does installation of software, training, help desk, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, they had the criteria. There's about 5 criteria: management experience in training, hospitality qualifications preferred, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and the last criteria was any computer qualifications or experience would be beneficial, but not necessary. And I thought, well, four of the 5, yes, but the computer stuff, not sure. Anyway, I thought it's good practice for me to just do this, apply for this. I don't think I'll get the job, but I think it's good practice to just do an interview. And so I think I've sent a fax, and they called back. They called back and said, "Yeah, let's please come in for an interview." I said, "Well, actually, I'm actually still in hospital with a broken leg. I think this was a Thursday or something." I said, "But I think I'm going to be out soon, by the weekend." And they said, "Okay, next week, come in." And so I came into the interview with my crutches, and basically, I got the job because they were looking for people, I guess, with solid hotel background, experience in training, blah, 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 blah. But also, if you had used HIS before, that's a bonus. That's what we used at Hilton. We used HIS. So they hired 3 of us, me, Steve Knight, Ian Turnbull, 3 of us in the same role. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, you talk about SpongeBob or being a sponge to absorb information. The sponge was full every single day. Every single day for the first 3 months, the sponge was full. But then after 3 months, I was like, oh, okay, I know this. I've heard this before. I've seen this before. And I was really lucky. We had at least 3 months of solid training before we even started taking support calls. We had a knowledge database written on AS400. If somebody had a support call and they had a technical error message, whatever it was, something to do with the compress, indexing, reorg. We could type that question into that database, and we could see all the resolutions for similar calls. And you know what it's like in tech support. Once you've heard the same type of question for the 10th time, you know the answer.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky. I was doing, what do you call it? After hours support. So literally asleep. And my pager back then, remember I used to carry pagers? Would go off, buzz, buzz, buzz. I'll have to call Manly Pacific Park Royal or Sheraton, Fiji, because we were doing Australia, New Zealand, and South Pacific Islands. And that was one of my favorite jobs. I started traveling to hotels in different areas, installing the system, doing the interfaces, doing help desk. I loved it. I loved it. It was probably some of the most rewarding work I've ever done. Like just to, I mean, yeah, I had to learn a lot of the technical stuff, but I'm a fast learner, and I love to, if it's interesting for me, then I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy learning. So, yeah.
So what's your favorite tech then?
Tech.
What's your favorite hotel tech?
Well, I don't have a favorite. I love revenue management. I love property management systems. I love distribution. My favorite is hotel tech. And what I mean by hotel tech is the amalgamation, the integration of all these things together, because it's what I've grown up doing. You know, I used to install these systems, I used to support them. But then I moved into the sales side, and so I don't have a favorite category, other than probably, to answer your question, it's the UX. It's the UX or the user interface of how data is presented or how users operate with the system that I think is my favorite, because I've seen so many different systems that are ugly or poorly designed, not intuitive. So really for me, it's the elegance of a really well designed either analytics platform or a user interface that combines very complex processes or data in a very easy to understand UI.
Now, you started how big is your smart thingy in the on LinkedIn, the group?
Yeah, I started that in 2007.
What made you start it? I mean, LinkedIn wasn't big, no?
No, it wasn't. So one thing to tell you is in 2007, no, 2006, I met Ashley, my wife. We met, and at the time I was working with CMS Hospitality, doing PMS, point of sale, conference and banqueting, stock control system, CRS. I was doing all that. I was there for 3 years. And basically, long story short, 2007, we took the entire year. We went traveling together. Fantastic experience. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I recommend it to everybody if you have the chance. And when I came back to Sydney, when we came back to Sydney, in end of 2007, so 2008, I knew that I didn't want to go back into the PMS space because I didn't see anything innovative in PMS. And then this is another piece of luck. I put something on LinkedIn. I put in a little thing there saying, looking for new opportunities. Boom, straight away, well, within a day, a guy named Chris Koudnaris, who I knew from Sydney, messaged me saying, hey, dude, let's talk. And Chris has been an amazing mentor. He's a super successful businessman, retired at 40. Anyway, he had a business called Hotel Profits. And he had his own booking engine called RoomRes. He was the exclusive reseller for Easy Yield, channel manager, outside of the US. We had a GDS product, which is a white label of Generez. We had a rate shopping system and other stuff. And he basically offered me a role. And I was doing, there was like 6 people in the company out of Sydney. And we did everything. I did sales, implementation, support. It was like going back to school to learn distribution. I learned CRS, booking engine, GDS, channel manager in particular. I learned that. I did direct sales. I did partnership sales. I had resellers in all parts of the world. And while I was there in the Sydney office, hey, Rafa. Hey.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Say hi, Rafa.
Hey.
Rafa.
Tudo bem?
Hi, Dog.
Hola, hola.
Okay,
And so,
just continue.
and so because I typed in looking for opportunities and boom, Chris responded, then for me, I was like, oh, LinkedIn has always been super clunky, But while I was traveling, that 2007, that's when I signed up to Facebook. And I was always on LinkedIn. And I typed in a message on LinkedIn looking for opportunities and boom, got an opportunity. So while I'm in the office there, I looked at LinkedIn and they have a functionality called LinkedIn Groups. I thought, okay, what is it about? And so I created a group. Remember, it's a super clunky platform, but it's now much better. And I created a group called Smart Hoteliers. SMART being the acronym Sales, Marketing, and Revenue Tech. Because that's what I was working with. I was working with this kind of technology. And yeah, so that's what, 10, 11 years ago. And I think there's 19,000 members. But there's another thing that I saw, which means there's 22 or 24,000 followers. So people can follow the group without being a member. Anyway, that's how I started that.
It's amazing. It's huge. Now, you have, when you choose jobs, right? And I think people are interested because you have worked in a couple of really cool places that have gone. I mean, Price Match got acquired. VB got, I believe, I don't know if it's acquired or invested or whatever you want to call that.
Acquired, yes.
SiteMinder, you joined when they were like tiny, and you were, I think, an employee under the 50 mark.
Yeah. Yes.
How do you go about this? How do you spot? Well, what are you looking for?
Okay, I've been lucky, but then again, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Sydney is a small. Well, you know Sydney. Sydney's a small town. Well, the hospitality technology space is a small world. The hospitality technology space in Sydney is even a smaller world. I built up a pretty good reputation in that small little town of Sydney. Hotel guy, hotel sales guy. I did really well with CMS hospitality. I think I told you that in that PMS discussion, I was beating Opera when there were version 2, version 3, version 4, even version 5. I was beating them in deals because I was with CMS. We had everything. We had CRS, PMS, point of sale, conference and banqueting. Anyway, I built up a good reputation. So when I was, okay, so I told you I was at Hotel Profits.
Yeah.
And then my ex-colleagues from Soft Brands Hospitality, which is today Infor, Joe Schlein, today is Joe Masters, hi Joe, and Chris Gribble, hi guys. They contacted me and say, hey Erik, Joe's now in the US, she's running the whole international business. Why don't you come back? Let's get the old team together. It's like, I said, you know what? Even though they were a PMS company, what I'd learned at Hotel Profits in terms of distribution and channel management and CRS and what I'd learned there, I was like, okay, now I know how to sell PMS, not from check-in, check-out, blah, blah, blah. Come to the PMS world from a distribution perspective. And with that in mind, I was happy to go back to quote unquote a PMS company. And we had great fun there. I was looking after Asia Pacific with resellers and a sales team. And then, like I said, I had a good profile, good reputation. Somebody else tapped me on the shoulder, someone called Graham Tate. And Graham...
good old Teddy boy.
Yes, Graham contacted me in a very, very smooth way. I think it was 1 week before Christmas. He got in touch and he said to me, Erik, thinking about, well, we're looking for somebody like this or like that. This is the role. He basically told me a summary of what he's looking for. But he's like, you know what? It's almost Christmas. Let's talk in the new year. So all over Christmas, I'm thinking about ideas, revenue management. I'm like, whew, look, I know PMS, 12 years of PMS. I know this distribution now from my experience with, Easy Yield and Booking Engine, blah, blah. Oof, revenue management. Eesh, this is a dark art. This is something, I don't know. And it's the market leader. Whew. Anyway, I've always jumped into things and said yes to things, even if in my gut maybe I'd thought, oof. Anyway, I started ideas because they approached me, and yes, I started learning systems, and I got lucky again because I met this guy named Fabian Bartnick, who taught me more about RM than anybody. And then you've heard this before, but at least 50 different times since those days, I've always said to people, this guy taught me more about RM than any system, any e-learning course, because particularly in the consulting space, I'm selling consulting. I'm selling you. I was your pimp. I was, but for me to understand what the client needs and then speak with you, we had amazing chemistry and conversation dialogue. And through that, I really got to understand RM forget technology. What is the essence? What's the core of the hotel asset, the hotel business? And anyway, so super lucky. And at that time, around the ideas time and also around the PMS time, those companies interface with SiteMinder. So I knew SiteMinder because we interfaced ideas with SiteMinder. The PMS companies I work with, soft brands, we interface with SiteMinder. And we used to see them at the same technology shows, end up at the bar. And Mike Ford and I even shared taxis together because he lives on the north side near Manly. So, SiteMinder was looking to do a Series A fundraising. And at that time, when you fundraise, the investors want to do some due diligence, speak to quote unquote industry experts. And I was one of the industry experts that SiteMinder suggested that bailador, which is a Spanish word really, bailador, speak with. So I was actually sitting in the ideas office there, and they called me in my lunch break, one of the investors, potential investors, and asked me about the technology space, about SiteMinder's product and how it fits in the ecosystem. Remember, these investors don't know the market the way we know it, so you have to try and explain things, and they make it in a decision whether it's a good investment or not. And they did. They invested 5.6, let's call it 6 million. And I remember speaking, well, anyway, after that, once SiteMinder had that funding, and they're, looking to expand. They already had the London office, but they were looking to really add, really scale. Mike invited me for a coffee, and long story short, offered me a role. But the role was based in London.
I remember.
So I came back home, and I said to my wife, I had the coffee with SiteMinder, and they offered me a role, but based in London, because I'm in Sydney, right? And she said, great, when do we move? My wife's Scottish, right? And of course, being closer to that part of the world, knowing SiteMinder, I was like, okay, sure, why not? And so you were asking me about how do I choose and how do I spot these things. I've been lucky. People have approached me or headhunted me, however you like to call it. However, with Price Match, one of my roles at SiteMinder, we did lots of different things, but one of my roles was partnerships, strategic partnerships in particular. Basically, we did a lot of white label deals. SiteMinder, we did a white label deal with lots of PMSs, lots of CRSs. And I got a call one day from an interesting guy named Arthur Waller. Arthur Waller. I remember him calling me. I was in London, he was in Paris, saying, I'm from Price Match, blah, blah, blah. and they were interested in maybe a white label with their revenue system and SiteMinder. So you accept the price and you push it out via SiteMinder. I thought, yeah, this is cool. Met with him, spoke with him, not just him and the team. These guys were very special. These guys are very special. At the time, 24, 25-year-olds, maths geniuses, let's call it, econometrics specialists. And what they had done was really a beautifully elegant and simple user interface based around a calendar, which you've seen. And I saw this. I actually, you can ask Kevin Tatum, right? Ask Kevin this, but we basically had a strategic retreat once with SiteMinder in Bangkok. It was 1 week of strategy, team building, etc. And during that that week, during my time, I made a presentation about, in my opinion, what we should be looking at. We do distribution. I said we don't really do much on pricing, and I used price match as an example. I said, look here, look at this. It's a calendar, 3 colors, green, orange, red. We could do that, or we could acquire them. Anyway, as a result of that meeting, it was decided that we would maybe look at doing a rules engine, basically a rules engine to automate price changes. Excuse me.
Still here.
Sorry, I just muted myself. Big cough. Anyway, so with some advice from friends, I documented 7 pages of what a rules engine, how it should work. Anyway, but my role at SiteMinder was morphing and changing, and it was really looking that my role is better done out of Sydney. And it was suggested back to Sydney now after 2 years in London. And happy wife, happy life. Kids were very happy in school. I was enjoying working in Europe. I couldn't believe all these markets nearby. And at 2 p.m. local time, that's when New York on the East Coast wakes up. I had 2 p.m. till 10 p.m., or let's say 2 p.m. till 8 p.m. window where I could cover the Americas. Because remember, I was selling into Americas before we even had an American office. This is at SiteMinder time. Anyway, and I'd seen something special. Something special in the price match guys. So I took the opportunity to say, look, thank you. It's been great. Time for me to step out. I'll stay here in the UK. And I joined Price Match. Had just raised 1 million euro, and they were expanding. And they hired 2 more senior people, myself and Vishal. Vishal Jain, who was at the time Chief Product Officer for RateGain. So Price Match gave us an apartment in Paris, 3-bedroom apartment, one room for Vishal, 1 room for me, and a spare one for colleagues. And the team, Arthur and myself, presented the solution to Booking.com just after Booking.com had acquired Boutique. So when Booking.com acquired Boutique, and I knew all the Boutique guys, why? Because I did a white label deal with them. Boutique did 2 integrations, Synexus and SiteMinder. So I knew those guys. Once that acquisition occurred, it was quite obvious. If Booking.com acquired a booking engine and a website company, for sure, and a PMS in Hotel Ninjas, for sure revenue management might be of interest.
Welcome. Yep.
No surprise, boom, a transaction happened. So, but just to answer your question a little bit more briefly, when you meet people and you think, oh, this person is a 19-year-old version of me, or this is a 25-year-old version of me, or they have this drive or there's something there which you can identify with. I don't think it's anything special that if you're always listening to people and really engaged, opportunities present themselves,
So what advice would you give yourself? Which would you do anything different?
You mean right now? or as a 19-year-old me?
When you look back right now, and you could give yourself a little bit of advice, or advice for anybody starting in the industry.
Yeah.
What's the advice you want to give them?
Okay.
Considering my laptop is running out of battery.
Yeah. No. Find your passion. Find what you're interested in. And then, let's speak about hospitality. I think it's amazing, fantastic business. Like you said in your interview, there's many different ways we can go, whether it's customer service or whether it's F&B. But my advice is to always be curious, listen and learn, and adapt. And if you don't understand something, ask. And if you don't have the right teachers, find the right teachers. I've been lucky. I've been really lucky. I've had really great mentors, bosses, colleagues, teachers, and sometimes some of the best experiences are bad experiences. I'll never forget one time at Hilton where I was being trained on how to do my banking. Get all the cash takings. I had to go in an envelope, and I wasn't balancing. And the person training me made some comments, which really made me feel stupid. But remember, I've always been good with numbers, and all of a sudden I was made to feel really stupid because I wasn't balancing to a zero. I wasn't balancing. It didn't matter how well that person explained things from then on. My mind was already shut off. I was feeling like, oh my God. It was a really important lesson for me because I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew I was good with numbers, but somehow this trainer made me feel stupid, and I then was unable to absorb what she was telling me, no matter how well she explained it. I never forgot this because I thought, if I'm teaching or I'm explaining something, I have to make it really simple in a way that anyone can understand. And I've always taken that approach. So if you don't have the right teacher or trainer or mentor, find them. Or ask us. I'm two smart fellas. We'll tell you if we know the answer. If we don't know the answer, we probably know somebody that does know the answer, and we'll put you in touch.
Absolutely. And last but not least, what's going to happen in the industry? You have seen the internet, the pre-Facebook, pre-LinkedIn, the rise of the machines.
Yeah.
Where's it going, Mr. MUñOZ? Are the two smart fellas going to be two virtual avatars in a room one day?
Well, do I have time to go to the bathroom quickly? I can edit this one out, yeah? Do I have time? 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. Okay, you hear me? I can't hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah, now I can.
2 minutes left.
Cool. So, a future? What looking at? Okay. I think something you said recently is very applicable. You quoted, I think, David Turnbull from Snapshot saying today's hoteliers need to think like technology people. So true. So true. If you look at where hotels are really losing compared to the big OTAs, it's digital marketing, distribution. And so with that, basically, there's one example. Hang on a second. What's this? Leave meeting open, please assign. Okay.
We're most probably going to leave the meeting, otherwise somebody else will take it. Yeah,
okay. So look, the future is basically hotels to really become a lot more technology savvy. And a good example is Best Western UK. They've just appointed a new chief executive, Rob Patterson, who's absolutely sharp and savvy in terms of the whole gamut of distribution, revenue management, sales and marketing, technology, and a very strong commercial basis. So I think hoteliers just have to step up tech-wise. I think in terms of the hotel tech space, the future is platforms and marketplaces. And I can go into more detail, but maybe that's for a podcast, yeah?
Love it. I think we should do that.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy Brazil.
Thank you. I shall be home soon.
All right, cool. Take care.
And we'll do a nice one. Thank you very much for that. And I'm sure everybody loved it. And I definitely learned about your crappy rugby.
You didn't know that story?
No, mate. No, I didn't know your beginning. So now I do.
Cool. I'll tell you the detail over a beer.
Cool. Excellent.
Right, take care. Ciao.
Bye.
Taco, taco.